Welcome back to another episode of Cor Counsel, the show where we explore all things masculinity through 15 portals of conversation. I am your host, professional rugby player for Toulon in England, Kyle Sinckler. My co-host is Oliver James. Ollie has worked as a mentor with professional men within the world of sport, entertainment and business for the past decade. With that being said, let's get this show started. As mentioned, there are 15 portals of conversation which are all related to masculinity, which you can see on your screens right now. From here, Ollie will choose a portal, I'll initiate a question, we will then have a conversation for around 10 to 15 minutes on an answer which is solely related for men. Look, we all know you've got things to do, so we're going to get straight to the point. But before we do, I just want to thank our friends and partners at Vivo Barefoot for sponsoring the show. Are you experiencing foot pain? Having some sort of discomfort? Well, that stops today. Make sure you visit vivobarefoot.com. They're redefining the footwear and foot health. Thank you so much, guys, for sponsoring the show. Ollie, what's the pool for today's show, bro?
All right, let's take a look. Get my graphic up. So, what number is that? I like 11. The Gladiator style.
Okay.
That's like that Gladiator movie, yeah? I like that illustration. Let's go with that. Number 11, no regrets. Yeah.
Boy, I have a feeling this could get deep.
See where you take it.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Ollie, do you think it's actually possible for a man to go his whole life with no regrets? Or is it more about how he responds to mistakes?
Wow, okay. How he responds to mistakes. Well, I think if you try to live a life without mistakes, you're definitely going to regret it. For sure. When you get to your deathbed, if you live a life without mistakes, you're definitely going to regret that for sure. It's impossible to live a life without mistakes. Yet in society, if you even think about the indoctrination of you or myself or other people, kids now that are in schools, when we went to school, we were indoctrinated that making a mistake was wrong. Yeah, a big cross next to it.
Yeah, true.
So what does that tell us in life? It tells us that if we stick to the system, if we stick to the path that's been laid out for us, that we're taught, then everything will be fine. You get a big tick next to that type of life. But isn't that the life that everybody does regret? The one where they didn't make the mistakes, where they try to stick to the system and to please society, however that looks, whether that's their school, their job, teachers, coaches, parents. Yeah. So when we try to live a life without mistakes, I would say that that's when most men experience regret. And I can certainly say that I'm somebody who initially lived my life like that, trying not to make the mistakes. And that led me down a path whereby I was forced to face myself in a way that was very uncomfortable. And in a way, I was close to leaving this world, and I had nothing but regret based on the fact that I tried not to make mistakes. So rebellion against that is what leads to a life of no regrets. That's what I would say initially. Is that bringing anything up for you?
Yeah, no, obviously, firstly, Ollie, thank you for having the courage to sharing that with us all. What I'm kind of getting from you here is, if you live a life that is for others and isn't for yourself, and you don't have the courage to take the shot and follow your heart, that's probably where the regrets come from. It's not from the mistakes made, it's from the shots not taken. Am I along on the right lines there?
Yeah, and I think you've then got to look at the shots that we take, the ones that are geared towards not making the mistakes and fitting in with society. They tend to be based on something. I think this is a very important point, actually. It's probably the most important point of this conversation, this portal. The life that we live when we're trying to not make the mistakes is based on a particular experience. And that is, we like it when we're experiencing certainty. So what I mean by that
that's
is,
true.
okay, if I get good grades in school, I'm going to get into college. If I get into college, I'm going to get into university. If I go to university, I'm going to get into, achieve the goal of having a good job. The good job is going to buy me the house because it's going to come with a certain salary. All of the things that we do in society, the approach to not making the mistakes is always based on doing the things that involve certainty. I am certain if I do this, I'm going to achieve this salary. I'm certain if I do this, I'm going to achieve this grade.
That's so true.
I'm certain if I do this, even when it comes to being an athlete, maybe, for example, like yourself, if I live my life in this way and I follow my coach to the letter, to the T, I'm going to be a great player. But actually, I would say the greatest athletes are the ones who rebel and do things their own way. Not in terms of rebelling against the coach, but just at the end of the day, look, a coach wants the best player, and if whatever works for you works for you. If it gets the result, as I've experienced with clients within the world of professional sport, as long as it gets the result, they're happy. Maybe you can.
That's all that matters.
Maybe you can
get
come
that
in
W.
there. Yeah. So
as long as you get that W, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So I would say it's certainty. When we pursue things that we think are a certainty, that's when we stop making the very mistakes that we need to make to rebel against a life that is more systematic. And that tends to be the one that men regret. How does that sound?
You've hit the nail on the head there, Ollie. I feel like, isn't some part of a man's life, like for me, I can speak for myself, like, is there not a place for that certainty though? Like, I feel obviously there'll be people tuning into our show today and it's like, well, I want to, do X, but I have responsibilities. I have, a wife, I have kids, and I can't do that because I need that certainty right now. Like, what would your, advice be for someone in that position who wants to follow their heart, but is scared to, I guess, because of that certainty?
I would say there's absolutely nothing that is certain. Yeah, absolutely. What is certain, and this is something that's really important to get and to accept, is that there is nothing that's certain. You might have achieved the perfect grades that got you into university, and you got the perfect degree, and you got the perfect job with the perfect salary in terms of it's all certain, it's all laid out. If I work for this long until my pension, I'm going to have this much available. I have everything certain based on this system that's been designed that tells me if I live it this way, I will certainly experience a life of comfort, security, safety for survival. But what happens if you lose your job because the company you work for goes bankrupt? What happens if you have a car that is safe and, is it really safe? What if there is a fault in it when you're driving along and that's not your fault? But you bought the car that was safe, the 4x4 that was going to protect you, in case anything happens, the safest car possible. These are just examples. But what I'm saying to you is what is certain. An athlete's career, you can gear it up towards playing in a team that provides you with this much money, and there's good players around you, and you're aiming for a certain trophy, and it looks pretty certain that you're in a good enough team to achieve it. But can you really be certain of a result? Even if you're the best team, what happens when the underdog comes along and wins?
Yeah. Or injuries.
Injuries, yep. Nothing's certain, is it? Is anything really certain? No matter how much we create boxes around ourselves, nothing is certain. If I put you in a deep, dark forest in the middle of the night in a place you didn't know and you heard wolves howling around you, you would be scared, correct?
Yeah, it sounds like the movie 300.
Yeah, however you want to see it, right? But it's, you would definitely, I know I would be if you put me in a deep, dark forest, I didn't know where I was, and I had wolves howling, I would be scared. But then what happens if I put a fence around you and I put you in a nice, warm, cozy house with a fire going and lights? You'd still be in the same deep, dark forest of wolves howling around you. But all of a sudden, because of these boxes, the house, the fence, all of a sudden you're not scared, right? Because you've controlled the fear in a sense. So the idea of certainty, just because you've got a fence, just because you've got a house, doesn't mean those wolves aren't going to come for you. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And my question to you then is it just an illusion?
Absolutely. All certainty is an illusion. And when we understand that, we'll recognize that, wait, why am I doing this, trying to create this illusion of a box, when actually, if I just embrace the deep, dark forest, I'll realize that I am actually the deep, dark forest. I am nature. I am creation. I am source. I can create whatever I want. If I'm not scared and I remove the boxes, I remove the fence, I remove the house, this is just metaphorically. In your life, that might look like a job that you hate, a set of rules imposed upon you by your parents that you actually don't agree with. It could be anything. It could be any identity. It could be a religion. It could be anything. Something that actually you're realizing that this is just a box. And yes, it makes me feel comfortable. Yes, it makes me feel certain of my future. But that certainty is nothing more than an illusion. And if you remove the boxes, you'll then realize that there is an infinite world out there. And once you start getting to grips with it and start playing around in it, you'll realize it's nothing to be scared of. It's only ever responding to you. Maybe those wolves that you heard were actually just a response to your fear. And once you embrace it, you'll realize that, like I say, there's nothing to actually be scared of. So for me, the life of regret, based on my own experience, is one that is based on the idea of certainty, living that life so we don't make the mistakes that are going to get us in trouble, however that looks. And once you remove the idea of certainty and you realize that nothing is certain, you'll start to gently dismantle the boxes that you've been living in that were only ever giving you the illusion of security. And when you do that, you might just rebel into something that nature wants for you. Nature itself will work with you, it will respond to you, source, the universe, whatever you want to call that, God. You can call it whatever you want. It's always waiting for the courageous, rebellious man who wants to live a life of no regret.
Ollie, I knew it was going to be deep, but did I know it was going to be this deep? You continue to surprise me, my brother. No, honestly, as always, thank you for your insight, your knowledge in our episode today of Cor Counsel. That hit home for me, as I'm sure it did for everyone else tuning into the show. So Ollie, thank you once again. Guys, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, and please don't forget to hit that like button. Follow us on all our social media channels. If you like what you heard from Ollie and want to learn more, visit saveyourworld.com and follow Save Your World on Instagram. Honestly, it is a pleasure for us to be of service to you, and thank you once again for making us part of your day. We will catch you all next episode. Take care.